you're choosing a video collaboration platform in 2026, this video will save you hours. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna review 7 of the most popular video platforms and review tools used by creative teams, agencies, and in-house production teams. We're not doing generic feature lists. We're doing a tier-based, criterion by criterion breakdown so that actually you can see why certain tools are stronger than others and where they fall short. Here's exactly how this works. I've identified 5 performance tiers from S tier all the way down to D tier, and I'll review these platforms across multiple criteria that actually matter in real production workflows. For each criterion, we'll look at what the criterion really means in practice, place each platform into a tier, and most importantly, explain why it belongs there. So once we finish one criterion, we'll reset the board and do it again with a new set of criteria. The 7 platforms we're reviewing today are Vimeo, Webster, Review Studio, Zipflow, FileStage, Frame.io, and Creately. Before we start placing anything, let me explain what these tiers actually mean, because this is critical. S tier, best in class for specific criterion. If this criterion is your top priority, S tier tools are the safest choice. A tier, excellent platforms with minor trade-offs. Most teams will be happy here. B tier, good tools that work, but with clear limitations that show up as you scale. C tier, usable but frustrating. These tools often create workarounds instead of actually solving problems. And finally, D tier platforms, below average or misaligned for modern video workflows. I generally wouldn't recommend these unless you have a very specific constraint or use case. All right, with that out of the way, we're starting with the core of everything, how good the actual video review and feedback experience is. We're looking at timeline comments, annotations, playback performance, version handling, and how naturally feedback flows. And as you can see here, D tier is empty. Every platform on this list attempts to support video feedback, but quality varies a lot. That's why we go into C tier, where is Vimeo. You can leave comments, but this is not a purpose-built review environment. Feedback is loosely connected to versions, and reviewers often confuse watching with reviewing. It works for sharing, but not really for any serious collaboration. Review Studio and Webster both land in B tier. They cover the fundamentals of video review, comments, playback, basic annotations, and they work. But as projects grow, the experience starts to feel slower and less intuitive. Nothing is broken, but also nothing feels best in class either. That's why we're moving into A tier, where there are Zillow and FileStage. Both offer strong, reliable review experiences with clear commenting and solid version handling. They really shine in structured approval workflows, especially with multiple stakeholders, though they're not slightly less fluid for fast iteration. And moving on to the final tier, S tier, Frame.io and Creately. These tools make review feel fast, precise, and frictionless. Frame.io sets the benchmark for timeline-based feedback and playback performance. Creately, though, matches the core experience but adds context. Feedback is designed to turn into action, not just simple notes. So for pure video review and feedback, S tier is where the experience truly disappears into the workflow. But review alone isn't enough. So let's reset the board and look at what happens after feedback. This stage looks at workflow and production management. Once feedback is given, can this platform actually help you run a video production, or do you immediately need other tools? D tier, Vimeo sits here. It's a video hosting and sharing platform, not a production system. There is no real concept of tasks, ownership, timelines, or workflow execution. C tier, Webster and Review Studio go into C tier. They offer some basic structure around review, but workflow depth is limited. As soon as projects or teams grow, organization start to break down. That's why we're moving into B tier, where we can find Frame.io. Yes, it's intentionally designed as a review-first product. File handling, versioning are strong, but tasks, ownership, and production timelines live outside the platform. Moving on to the A tier, and here lands File Stage. It provides clear approval stages, review roles, and project status visibility. This works well for stakeholder-heavy and approval-driven workflows, but it stops short of deeper production, orchestration, and project management. And finally, S tier, Zflow and Creately. Zflow excels at structured, rules-based workflows. Approval stages, roles, and traceability are extremely strong, making it ideal for marketing teams and mostly compliance-focused environments. While Creately, on the other hand, is built around production execution. Feedback becomes tasks, tasks have owners, and then it all becomes a deliverable, and everything lives inside a production timeline, inside one platform. That is why the takeaway here is most platforms help you review video. Very few help you actually manage the entire video production. So let's reset the board and move on to the next criterion. This stage looks at client experience and ease of use. In simple terms, how easy is this platform for people who don't want to learn a new tool, clients, stakeholders, and occasional reviewers? Here we have it again in the D tier, Vimeo. While it's easy to watch videos, it's confusing as a review tool. Clients often don't know where to comment or how to approve or what's expected of them. It's built for viewing, not guided collaboration. Moving on to C tier, Webster. The review experience works, but the interface feels dated and less intuitive. Clients often need guidance, which does create unnecessary back and forth. Moving on to the B tier, we have Review Studio. Clients can leave feedback, but the experience isn't intuitive or modern. It works, but it doesn't disappear into the background, so to speak. And this is what matters for adoption and ease of use. That's why we're moving into an A tier, where we have Zflow and File Stage. Both provide structured review flows, clear approval stages, and guidance for stakeholders, which is great. This makes them reliable for clients, especially in marketing and approval-driven environments. They fall short, however, of S tier because the experience can feel a bit rigid for casual reviewers. Moving on to the S tier, where we have Frame.io and Creately. Frame.io is incredibly intuitive. Clients open a link, comment on a timeline, and move on with almost no explanation needed. Creately delivers a similarly smooth experience, but with core context built in, so clients know exactly what stage they're reviewing and what action is expected of them. Meaning in both cases, the tools stay out of the way, which is exactly what you want for clients. So the takeaway here is simple. The easier a tool is for clients, the faster feedback cycles move and the fewer delays you create. So let's reset the board again and move on to the next criterion. This stage is all about scalability for teams. In simple terms, what happens when you add more projects, more collaborators, and more clients? And here we have it again in D tier, Vimeo. To be honest, at this point I feel bad for Vimeo, but it's true. It does work for sharing videos, but it's not built as a collaboration system. There's no structure for scaling project, roles, and workflows as teams grow. C tier, Review Studio, Lens here. It can support small teams, but as volume increases, organizations and visibility become harder to manage. Scaling introduces friction instead of efficiency when it comes to Review Studio. File Stage lands in B tier. It handles more projects and stakeholders way better than Review Studio does. However, its structured approach can become limiting when teams and companies need flexibility across many parallel productions. Moving on to the A tier, where we have three tools: Creately, Webster, and Zflow. Webster scales better than expected for teams already familiar with its workflow, especially around review volume. Ziflow, on the other hand, scales well in structured and approval-driven environments where consistency matters. And finally, Creately scales by keeping projects, feedback, and execution, and also deliverables in one place, eventually reducing the tool sprawl. All three tools handle growth reliably, but they do fall short when it comes to Frame.io. And Frame.io lands in S tier. It does handle large teams, high file volumes, and complex project structures perfectly. Performance stays fast, collaboration stays clear, and the platform holds up even as usage scales significantly. Even though lately some users have been complaining about the bugginess, it still is the S tier. The key takeaway here is simple. Scaling isn't just about more users. It's about whether the platform stays clear and fast as complexity grows. Let's reset the board again one last time and move on to the final criterion. This final stage looks at value for money. Not just price, but what you actually get for what you pay and how many problems one platform really solves. And here we have it again in D tier. I assume by this point you've probably realized that Vimeo is not going to be fit for your production workflows. While the pricing may look reasonable at first, it does not solve core collaboration or production problems. You end up paying for hosting while still needing other tools to manage review workflows. Review Studio and Webster go into C tier. They are not outrageously expensive, but the value is capped. As soon as your needs grow, you're forced to add another tool, which reduces overall value. File stage lands in B tier. Well, pricing is reasonable for structured approval workflows, and to be honest, you get what you pay for. However, because the scope is fairly narrow, teams often need additional tools, which affects total cost over time. Frame.io and Ziflow both sit in A tier for value. Frame.io delivers exceptional review quality, as we've established, but the cost rises once you factor in all the tools you still need to run the entire production. Ziflow, on the other hand, offers strong workflow and governance features that justifies pricing for approval-heavy teams. In both cases, the value is real, but tied to a specific use case. And finally, Creately earns the S tier for value for money. And the reason is simple. It replaces multiple tools. Video review, feedback, task execution, and the entire production coordination end-to-end lives in one place, in one platform. When you look at total cost, not just subscription price, but the value becomes very hard to beat. The takeaway here is fairly simple. Value isn't about paying less. It's about needing fewer tools to get the job done. And that brings us to our final conclusion of this entire video. After walking through all 5 criteria, one thing should be very clear. There isn't a single best video collaboration platform in 2026. There are platforms that are optimized for very different ways of working. Some tools are built first and foremost for fast, scalable video review, and if your top priority is that, Frame.io continues to set the standard. If your environment depends on controlled workflows, approvals, and traceability, Zillow stands out. And if you want review, coordination, tasks, deliverables, and video review in one system, that's where Creately differentiates itself. And to be honest, the biggest mistake teams make is choosing a platform based on feature checklists instead of choosing based on how work actually flows inside their teams. Hopefully, this tier-by-tier breakdown made those trade-offs clear. If this was helpful, please let me know in the comments which platform you're using today and why do you want to switch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.